another thing that I preach all the time is, hey, control your own destiny on these e-com channels. Try not to get to a point where you're relying on resellers.
Welcome to Honest Ecommerce, a podcast dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running a direct-to-consumer brand does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. On this podcast, we interview founders and experts who are putting in the work and creating real results. I also share my own insights from running our top Shopify consultancy, Electric Eye. We cut the fluff in favor of facts to help you grow your e-commerce business. Let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. I am your host, Chase Clymer. Today, welcoming to the show a former middle school teacher turned CPG entrepreneur, Kyle Lafond. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Chase. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So tell me, how does a middle school teacher inceptualize and start a brand? Like, just take me back to kind of the beginnings, where things get started.
I have made a career on the fact that middle school kids stink. Doesn't matter if they're boys or girls or whatever. Those kids are ripe. At that age, you're going through this very fragile period of human development where all kinds of funky changes are happening in your body, their hormones. And at about that time, these kids get ripe. So kind of the whole backstory, I was really put off by the products that my kids were using to kind of cover up that body odor. If you think about most middle schools, early in the morning, if you're walking down that hallway, it's oftentimes just this gross chemical fog of some name brand body sprays. And I just thought, wow, this is really kind of noxious. I remember parents dropping kids off with windows wide open in their cars during the middle of winter because they didn't want to smell their kids and all the body sprays they had been using at home. And then one day, I just took it upon myself to grab one of these canisters and actually take a look at the back panel. And, having years in the classroom, multiple degrees based in sciences, I can only identify about a third of the ingredients on that canister. And I thought, wow, if I only know a third of these ingredients, the chances that my kids or their parents have any idea what type of harmful chemicals may be in this product are slim to none. So I designed a project on the spot where I taught my kids, basically modeled how to make personal care products without any harsh chemicals. And that quickly became the most popular project I'd ever put together during my teaching career. I had kids that I wouldn't have in class for another year or so that would grab me before school, after school, during lunch, and say, hey, Mr. Lafond, are we going to do the deodorant project? Absolutely. If you guys are interested and want to do it, we're going to keep on going. That first year, we made some terrible products. I'm not going to lie about that. It was bad all the way around. But after 4 or 5 years of modeling for 5 or 6 periods, basically I had made a whole bunch of stuff in class that I used as the foundation for American Provenance. So it all started based on a simple fact that middle school kids stink, and I wanted to help them out.
Man, that's so interesting. One, I couldn't agree more with just kind of the when you said just like the fog of early school, morning, middle school. It just took me back to like, the body sprays of my youth. And I could never thought about it in that perspective. Maybe I stunk. Who knows? I probably did. So this is so cool. So you basically got paid as a teacher to do R&D. When did it kind of become more than just a project?
Probably, 4 years in. Because over the course of the previous years, I accumulated a whole bunch of surplus, stuff that I had made in classes I was modeling for my students. Because in middle school, you have to do everything with the kids, right? They want to see how you do it, then do it on their own. So I had just this bin of stuff that I had made over the years. And I thought, what am I going to do with this? And over the course of the holidays, about this time of year, I actually started giving it out to friends and family. And I said, hey, this is stuff I made in class, and just give it a shot. Let me know what you think. No harm, no foul. I want to see if this stuff may have a future. And basically every person I gave stuff to came back to me a month or two later and said, hey, that deodorant you gave me or that aftershave you gave me, that's better than anything I bought in a store in a long time. You may have something here. So based on that really positive feedback from friends and family, we decided to launch the business. And I was very fortunate at that time. I had access to an old machine shed on my 4th generation family farm. And at that point, I asked my mom if I could actually do some renovations. And she said, yeah, go for it. So I spent a few months updating that old machine shed, and that's where we launched. And so we were born in a barn and not in a boardroom, that's for sure.
Oh, that's amazing. So what was the first product that you actually took to market?
So first product included a whole bunch of different things. So basically it was deodorant, aftershave, hair pomade, and a beard balm. And what I did was I realized at that point that most of our competitors or smaller companies out there really were just launching online. They were basically running ads on Facebook or Instagram and putting some money behind digital advertising campaigns. I didn't want to be like those folks. I wanted to really start off with a brick and mortar backbone. So I took it upon myself to actually jump in my car and go visit local grocery stores and pharmacies and specialty shops and pitch. So I would take bags in of samples. I'd hand them off. I'd say, hey, I want you to try these things out. I'll come back in a week and we can talk about getting it back on the shelf. And basically what we did with some local partners here, 3 Hy-Vee stores in the Madison area, got on those stores' shelves right away. They made independent decisions. The buyers brought our products in. Remember, I put everything out on a Friday. I did a little demo that afternoon to kind of talk about the products and kind of do a little bit of hype work. I came back on Monday, and even though I had put 36 of all of our products on the shelf, every single one of the deodorants was gone. So that very first weekend, I realized, hey, we're going to probably be a deodorant company. It's great to have all kinds of other men's grooming products, but guys are really looking for alternatives to the traditional stuff we've been wearing ever since we were in middle school. So that's kind of the foundation story.
That's amazing. And so something I want to highlight there is that you took it upon yourself to get out there and actually sell the product, to go make these connections with these small independent retailers and try to get your product in the store. And kind of what I want to point out there is that like you weren't waiting for something to happen to you. You were getting things done and you were going out there. How long were you hitting the bricks and making these kind of wholesale connections is what they kind of ended up being before you started to pivot and look at direct to consumer?
Yeah, that was about 3 years actually. My weekly routine was, hey, I load up my truck on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, hit the road either late Sunday or early Monday morning, and I'd be gone till Thursday. So I had a bunch of routes throughout the Midwest here that basically I would drive, hand stuff out. And I think that really helped out because a lot of the buyers and the owners at these stores, when I would walk in and tell them, hey, this is a company that I founded, we're making products on my family farm, and we're making products that are better alternatives, healthier alternatives than what's on their shelves right now, I think it really resonated. So coming from the founder and being the guy saying, hey, your business is so important to me that I'm standing here in your shop. I'm not asking you to come to me. I'm here coming to you. I want to establish a relationship. I want to know all your employees, and I want to help you sell our products on your shelf. Because very early on, I realized that getting on a shelf, that wasn't the end of the story. That was just the very beginning. The consumer has to pick them up. The consumer has to buy them. So for me, being out on the road and being visible and doing demos really helped out. I'm very fortunate and very glad that we did that from 2015 to 2018, because given how the world has changed over the course of the past 2.5 years, I don't know if that strategy would have worked. I don't think I could have gotten into stores. I could have done demos. I could have gotten in front of people. So timing really was key. And then in 2018, we actually took in our first round of investment. That first 3 years, I bootstrapped the entire operation and got to a point where if we really wanted to grow and scale, we needed some outside funding. So part of bringing in that outside funding was to launch on these different e-com platforms and really push the digital aspect of our business.
Oh, that's all right. So that's kind of where a lot of our listeners are definitely are at. Definitely more a D2C kind of focused audience here. And you said something that I kind of wanted to dive into is platforms. So not just one. So I'm making an assumption here, and please correct me, that obviously you've got your own store built out, and I believe it's on Shopify, but are you also in other marketplaces such as Amazon?
That's correct. So yeah, we built out our own site on Shopify, and I preach Shopify to everyone I run across. I mean, if you're going to be serious about e-com, Shopify. That's the platform you have to use. We learned that the hard way. We had built some sites on other platforms, and some of those other sites are great for Main Street businesses. But if you really want to do e-com and D2C, Shopify, far and away, the information and analytics that platform provides are so far superior. So anyone that's serious about D2C, yeah, I am a Shopify proponent to the max. So yeah, we're on our own website. We also have products listed on Amazon, and we have a handful of other sites that we list our products on. What we try to do is we try to maintain as much control over our own sales as possible. What we try to do is we try to limit resellers as much as we can, because if you look at the customer reviews, anytime there's an issue with our products, it's not because of us. It's because of our resellers. It's because resellers either fail to ship a product, don't provide a refund, or are just completely out of touch. So another thing that I preach all the time is, hey, control your own destiny on these e-com channels. Try not to get to a point where you're relying on resellers.
Absolutely. And so with the decision to sell your products directly on Amazon, I feel like that's a decision that weighs on a lot of founders. Should I or should I not, put it here? So what would you say are the advantages of selling on a platform like Amazon? And then if you want, you don't have to answer this one. And maybe like the disadvantages of selling on like a marketplace.
Yeah, the way I look at Amazon is it's a necessary evil. And I hate to even say it that way. We have to realize that Amazon is now the second largest search engine in the world behind Google. So if people are actually looking for products, even if they're not going to buy, they turn to Amazon, do some research, and read the testimonials, read the reviews. So you really need to be on Amazon to make your brand legitimate. So for us, it's one of those things where we've placed products there because we need to be visible. Of course, we don't have the budget to compete with a lot of these larger companies on Amazon. Kind of the thing that a lot of folks don't know or that isn't talked about much are the costs of advertising and listing on Amazon. And it's gotten to the point where it really isn't a very fair playing field at all. You have these major international corporations that have unlimited ad budgets and marketing budgets, and they can afford to run ads and market to people time and time and time again. We just don't have those dollars. And for us on Amazon, it has to make sense. So we're always taking a look at our ACOS and making sure that Amazon's actually a break even or sometimes hopefully a profitable source of revenue for us. But again, we can't compete with those larger companies. So we list just to be visible and to show up. And we try to get to a point where we're showing up on searches that are relevant to our categories.
Absolutely. I think there's kind of a secondary consideration with listing on these marketplaces as well is kind of just like your sales velocity and kind of economies of scale. Does that come into the picture as well?
It does. So for the first couple of years, we listed products on Amazon just as our own entity. We didn't hire any type of outside firm, any type of Amazon management agency to actually run ads for us or gauge our performance. And that was fine. But if you really want to make inroads, you really need to find an agency and specialist to help you out. I mean, it's something where every day I'm trying to figure out when the right time is to bring that in-house, to actually have a dedicated Amazon professional here on our team that can run that platform and run ads. But yeah, you get to that point where initially, you just list products just to have them there so they show up. And then you hire these management firms that can basically run campaigns for you. And then if you get to a point where you're large enough, it makes most sense to bring it in-house and have someone actually run those campaigns for you day in and day out. So for us, that's kind of the progression that we've had. And talking to other founders and entrepreneurs of CPG companies, it's very similar. The devil's in the details, though, right? Mm-hmm. Finding that firm that can actually run these campaigns. Because, we get solicitations all the time, every one of us, from different marketers that claim to have such traumatic success on Amazon. But until you actually dive in and work with these folks and get to know them, you're never going to know. So I spend a lot of time just basically doing my own due diligence and figuring out who we're going to work with or who we should be working with to actually grow our Amazon revenues.
I think that sentiment goes beyond just Amazon. That's just growing agencies and consultants out there. So that's actually something I'd love to ask kind of your thoughts and opinions on a bit more, because I have my own kind of like where it makes sense to go in-house, and I'd love to see how it compares to kind of yours. So my perspective on like the life cycle of just a direct consumer brand is, if you're $0 to $1 million a year, you're a startup, in my opinion. Sorry if that makes you feel a little or bigger than you are. Who knows? But I think at that stage in things, you should be doing everything you possibly can do yourself just to increase sales and invest in yourself and in your own education. Because as you shift into the next phase of things, which I'm going to call kind of the scaling phase, which I would say is like $1 million to $10 million a year. That is when you should probably look to work with consultants and freelancers and partners, agencies, whatever you want to call them, but people that are smarter than you at whatever their subject matter expertise is. I think that the investment that you make in your education early on and making mistakes and learning about your product market fit are only going to help those partnerships when you find the right people. And then I think when you kind of get to that 8-figure mark, that's when things make sense to bring stuff in-house. And as an agency, on our end of things, like when we help businesses get to that point and they're bringing stuff in-house, like we feel great about it. And it's like, we did our job. It's, so that's kind of my perspective. How does that kind of fall in line with how you guys are doing things?
I agree with you 100%. That makes sense from a brand growth perspective. The only caveat there is you have to look at AOV. If you've got a product that you're only selling for $10, maybe a little bit lower than that, like us. But if you've got a product that you're selling for 150 plus, then the numbers go the other way. So it all kind of depends on AOV, but those are really good kind of guidelines in terms of how you should be approaching Amazon and what kind of strategies and tactics you should be employing.
Absolutely. AOV is one of my favorite numbers to manipulate. So you are correct with, especially CPG. It's getting the AOV online is a lot harder. So what are some of the strategies and tactics that you do to try to increase that average order value or that cart value on your kind of like your Shopify experience?
Yeah. So number one, trying to figure out what our break-even AOV even is. So we've done a bunch of work on the back end and trying to kind of reverse engineer. So if we get this point where let's say we're at X, let's say like $45 for our AOV, at that point, we're actually generating a fair amount of revenue and being profitable. So for us, in order to get to that goalpost, we have to figure out different strategies. So it could be bundling. It could be like a build your own. It could be seasonal or limited editions. Anything we can do to get products kind of put together so we can raise that AOV. Sometimes we've even thought about bringing in products from other companies. So companies that we call our favorites or that we want to push and help grow as well, or companies that want to help us. So a lot of it's bundling, packaging, limited releases. Sometimes it may include new products. Obviously, we're making a new product. It's not all about, hey, how much can we charge for this? There has to be a customer need there first. But looking at the full spectrum of things that are available to raise that AOV. Looking back and knowing now what I do, we probably should have started off selling products that were a little bit more expensive than $10 a unit. And that's just one of those things that you learn over time. And I see the evolution. I see folks that have started multiple companies, and you always see that they kind of start with a lower end product, a lower price product, and then those products tend to gradually get more and more expensive as they start other companies or other endeavors.
If you're struggling with scaling your sales, maybe Electric Eye can help. Our team has helped our clients generate millions of dollars in additional revenue through our unique brand scaling framework. You can learn more about our agency at electriceye.io. That's ELECTRICEYE.io. Mesa is the Shopify expansion pack to level up your brand. By turning all your internet-connected apps into your business epicenter, Mesa can lighten your workload and tame the day-to-day chaos of running your store. Join other successful brands that have learned how to balance clever workflows with a solid infrastructure to get more done without more overhead. Whether you need to order data in Google Sheets, products on Etsy, or customers added to HubSpot, Mesa has you covered. Peace of mind is right around the corner when all your apps are working seamlessly together. To put it quite simply, Mesa is a better way to work. Search Mesa, that's MESA, in the Shopify App Store and download the app today. Is your store holiday ready? Now is the time to make sure you and your team are prepared for the busy season ahead. Gorgias, an omni-channel help desk built for e-commerce, has machine learning functionality that takes the pressure off small support teams and gives them the tools to manage a large number of inquiries at scale, especially during the holiday season. Gorgias combines all your different communication channels like email, SMS, social media, live chat, and even phone into one platform and gives you an organized view of all your customer inquiries. Their powerful functionality can save your support team hours per day and makes managing customer orders a breeze. Merchants can close tickets faster than ever with the help of pre-written responses integrated with customer data to increase the overall efficiency of customer support. Their built-in automations also free up time for support agents to give better answers to complex product-related questions, providing next-level support, which helps increase sales, brand loyalty, and recognition. Eric Bandholtz, the founder of Beard Brand, says, "We're a 7-figure business, and we have essentially one person on customer support and experience. It's impossible to do it without tools such as Gorgias to help us innovate." Learn how to level up your customer support by speaking to their team. Visit gorgias.grsm.io/honest. Mention this podcast when you sign up to get 2 months free. That's gorgias.gsm.io/HONEST. Today's show is sponsored by the BeProfit app for e-commerce sellers. If you're looking to get a crystal clear picture of your online store's profitability, the best way to do that is with the BeProfit Profit Tracker. Your online business probably has a ton of different expenses that often shift and change. What if you could keep accurate track of things like ad spend and production costs and get an accurate profit margin calculation without the headache of spreadsheets or half-baked apps? That's where BeProfit comes in. BeProfit lets you analyze all of your store's data quickly and accurately to stay on track and optimize your profits. I know a lot of our listeners out there probably keep track of their profits and expenses with a spreadsheet. That will work for a while, but as your store starts to scale up, that simply isn't a viable method of accurately measuring profitability anymore. BeProfit can change all of that for you. Available on Shopify and all the other top e-commerce platforms, the app offers advanced analytic tools to turn mountains of data into intuitive charts and graphs in the blink of an eye. Customize your dashboard, discover valuable insights, and zoom in on the metrics that matter most to you. Take it a step further and gain full control over your data by creating and exporting custom reports. You can even find out which are your most valuable products, top performing ads, best customer cohorts, and so much more with the BeProfit Profit Tracker. Visit beprofit.co today to start your 7-day trial. Don't forget to use code HONEST15, that's HONEST15, to get an exclusive 15% off any plan you choose for the lifetime of your plan. That's beprofit.co, discount code HONEST15. Getting an online business off the ground isn't easy. So if you find yourself working late, tackling a to-do list that's a mile long with your 5th cup of coffee by your side, remember, great email doesn't have to be complicated. That's what Klaviyo is for. It's the email and SMS platform built to help e-commerce brands earn more money by creating genuine customer relationships. Once you set up your free Klaviyo account, you can start sending beautiful, branded messages in minutes thanks to drag-and-drop design templates and built-in guidance. And with e-commerce specific recommendations and insights, you can keep growing your business as you go. Get started with a free account at klaviyo.com/honest. That's KLAVIYO.com/HONEST. You know, the unfortunate truth is with higher priced products, you have more margin to invest back into the business.
Yep, that's exactly it.
So with you know, the increasing the AOVs and trying to get to that $45 average order value, how much does lifetime value come into play as well with when you're making some of these decisions?
I knew that question was coming next. You can't talk about AOV without LTV, and especially from an investor perspective. So when I'm out and pitching and talking to potential investors, those are 2 questions that come up right away: AOV, LTV. So we've actually done a lot of work to try to better determine what our LTV is. You know, there's a handful of calculators out there. There are some that are very simple in terms of figuring out what your LTV may be, and others that are very, very complicated. The more complicated, I tend to think, the better off you're going to be. So for us, I've had to go through this kind of evolution of thinking about, hey, the first time we make a sale with someone, I'm all right losing money on that transaction because we actually have a returning customer rate of about 70%. So I'm really happy with that. That actually speaks to the quality of the product. And given the nature of our products, you know, if you find a deodorant or an aftershave or a beard balm that works and you like, if you're a guy, I can say this because I am one, I'm pretty simple and stupid. And if I got something that works, I'm going to keep on going back to that well time and time and time again. So for us, I've really refocused on, hey, I'm not concerned about making money on that first transaction, maybe even that second transaction. But knowing that we're going to have customers come back 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 times, that's where we're going to be profitable. And so we focus more on building these customer relationships and making sure they keep coming back and buying our products.
That's amazing. So you're using your return customer rate, and are you just manipulating that against your AOV and kind of bouncing it out a few times from there?
That's exactly it. Yep.
Yeah. And that's the thing just about average order value is a little more cut and dry. You go, here are your sessions, here are your sales, divide. But with LTV, that one is definitely it's something where it's like there is no one way to do it. It's you build it and you got to be comfortable with it, and it's kind of like your gut as a founder. You know, with CPGs, obviously you have a more higher repeat purchase rate because it's consumable. But if we're talking about I don't know, bookshelf desktop speakers. Like, I don't think someone's coming back and buying one of those within the first 90 days.
No, not at all. And we've done a lot to kind of figure out, hey, what is our use? How long does it take a customer to get through our products, be it a deodorant, a beard balm, aftershave, whatever. And we've roughed that out, right around 8 weeks. So there's a whole bunch of stories to tell there beyond that. So when you think about traditional or conventional products, and I'm going to get on the natural products bandwagon here for just a second, if you don't mind. You think about conventional products. I tell folks, when you take a look at a personal care or beauty product, when you look at the back panel, if you see water or H2O or agua listed as the first, second, or third ingredient, tell you what, that's just a filler. That's for ease of application, and that's to cheapen that product. So for us and all of our products, we don't use water in anything. So our products tend to last quite a bit longer. I often talk about a dab will do you, or a couple swipes and you're good to go. Because if you take a look at, let's take Axe, for example, all their television spots, or Old Spice, their television spots, where do you see? You see those guys just dousing themselves, taking the shower in this body spray. You don't need that. That's overwhelming. And that marketing is very intentional. It's to encourage folks to use as much of that product as they can so they keep on coming back and buying it at a more frequent clip. So when I tell folks that, hey, our deodorant is going to last you 8 weeks, it's going to last you twice as long as the deodorant you're buying right now. So in terms of cost efficiency, we're actually much more reasonably priced than the traditional deodorants you're buying that are filled with all kinds of garbage. So talking in those terms and getting folks to realize that, holy cow, there's actually companies out there that stress quality over quantity and repeat purchases. That goes a long ways for us in building that trust with our consumers.
Oh, absolutely. And now, kind of with everything that we talked about today and knowing our audience, is there something that I forgot to ask you that you think would resonate with them?
I'm oftentimes asked, hey, if I were to do this all over again, what kind of advice would I give to myself? And the big thing, I steal it from Nike, just do it. I think there are a lot of folks out there that put way too much thought into it. I've talked to a ton of entrepreneurs over the years that have some brilliant ideas, but just never execute. So my whole advice is, hey, if you got an idea and it keeps coming back to you 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year down the road, there's something there and go for it. Another thing that I talk to a lot of folks about is the importance of roles. So we believe in a book called Rocket Fuel. And Rocket Fuel is a great read. It basically defines roles within an organization. For any startup, you really have two key players. You have one who's a visionary, who kind of sees the land for what it is and can look out 5-10 years and knows where you want to take this thing. And you have an integrator, someone that actually does the work. And what I see happen time and time again with a lot of companies, startups that I talk to, you've got two visionaries or you've got two integrators. And you really have to recognize who's going to take on each one of those roles and how you're going to work together. When we first read that book, it really helped our communication internally, understanding who we are and what our roles are. So for anybody that's thinking about starting their own business, I'd say, yeah, number one, go for it. Now's a great time. There are a lot of folks transitioning out of traditional careers and looking to put their own shingle out there and make a go of it. And then, yeah, read the book Rocket Fuel, seriously, and find out what you're good at and try to recruit your counterpart.
Yeah, that's a great book to recommend. So I've read Traction and I haven't read Rocket Fuel yet, and I just wrote it down and I'm going to download it from my library app the second we're done with this conversation. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Kyle, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your insights. If people are interested in the product, where should they go to check it out?
AmericanProvenance.com. We've got a beautiful website. It's constantly updated, all kinds of special runnings. Go ahead and sign up for the Pit Crew. That's our rewards program. So you can basically build points towards future purchases. And yeah, you can find us at almost 5,000 locations nationwide now. So look for your nearest brick and mortar retailer. If we're not there, hey, please talk to the buyer and request that they bring us in.
Absolutely. Kyle, thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks, Chase.
All right. I can't thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their knowledge and journey with us. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our own business. You can find all the links in the show notes. Make sure you head over to honestecommerce.co to check out all of the other amazing content that we have. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and obviously, if you're thinking about growing your business, check out our agency at electriceye.io. Until next time.